What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Swipe Up, the 39th episode of the show where I share my favorite posts from Instagram. Let's start it off with a similar clip I've played in the past, just to remind you of how difficult things are with this parkour guy failing. Trying to record, I'm sure, video clips for Instagram and showing kind of the behind-the-scenes outtakes, as it were, of failure, where the final clip you see is all perfect and looks like he's a superhero, but the reality of the situation is that he fails a lot, as skateboarders do, as everybody does in life. It's the people that are too afraid to fail. Like, I'm too afraid to ever do this shit. I just don't want to break bones. I'm not very athletic. I'm far from even thinking of beginning to do parkour stuff like this. But like, there's a lot of people that are right on the cusp, but they're just afraid to get hurt, man, or afraid to fail. You can't be afraid to fail. But moving on to new trend in online memes is the face replacement over, different things. So here's Eric Griffin and Bobby Lee, used by Pseudo Marine, did a face swap of Eric Griffin and Bobby Lee on Rush Hour, clip, which I love the movie Rush Hour.
Anything goes wrong, what's in there? Act like you are LAP, blah, blah.
He cannot speak English.
Man, this is cool, the Hong sending us to Hong Kong.
Like, one of the fun things about the face swap is kind of the fantasy. It'll be fun in the future when you're able to face swap and voice swap and recast any movie you want to recast. Like, in probably a few years, you'll be able to actually watch Rush Hour with Eric Griffin and Bobby Lee as the stars. It'll happen. It would take time. Somebody will do it. And it'll be interesting. Like, how does that happen legally? I mean, that's like Photoshop for movies. Easy Photoshop. Yeah. Would not mind seeing them in a buddy cop movie, Eric Griffin and Bobby Lee. Bobby Lee needs to get more of his own projects. Yeah, amazing stuff there from Pseudo Marine. So moving on to a Photoshop from GMFO of PS. Old lady, grayscale photo, portrait of an old lady, but her face is hollowed out. And it looks like a prison, an old prison with a child peeking through the bars from inside this woman's head. Just kind of a really interesting idea that kind of is depressing a little bit. To think that inside every old lady is a caged child, starving and not given the freedom deserved. Well, enough of the joy fest. Let's move on again to one of my favorite podcasts. If you're into comedy and if you're into learning about history, because our history is very comedic, I would highly recommend checking out The Dollop on all podcast places, but you can watch it through All Things Comedy on their YouTube page, hosted by Dave Anthony, Gareth Reynolds. But here's a clip from their most recent episode.
Business delivering babies at low cost for families who couldn't afford real doctors.
Sure. Yep. No, just keep going, Dave.
Episode 382.
What are you talking about?
Colonel Holland.
Well, he owns a gas station. He knows
Sanders.
law.
Listen to what you're saying. No, he doesn't.
He knows law,
No.
he worked on a train.
Yeah, he worked on a train. He was fired.
He was an insurance salesman.
Yes, he learned about the law from letters.
We did a lot of jobs, so a lot of that
just
just
doesn't
translates
mean that
to
you're able
taking
to take
a baby out of a lady.
Someone. No.
Yeah, but it's
No.
all.
We're saying
it
the
just
exact opposite thing.
But it all comes together and paints a picture.
It does not do that for
I feel
me.
like we're agreeing.
We are disagreeing.
Quote, I got me a lard bucket and puts my...
This is a terrible start. Let me lard your lady up, and then maybe I'll jump on her tummy until the thing goes squish, squish, and hits the pillar.
No sleep till hippo. No sleep till hippo.
Action part.
The Dollop. Check it out, man. I love that show. It's insane to see how far we've come, despite people in modern day wanting to regress. You know, like anti-vaxxers, people that like don't believe in science, or you know, the fact that our education of the world around us has grown in a very short amount of time, I might add. But I love the Dollop, and I love both of these guys. Seen them live. Let's go watch the Dollop live in your town. They have a website, and you know, but this episode's about Colonel Sanders, and it's Dave Anthony reads a story from history to usually American history to Gareth Reynolds, who doesn't have any idea what the story is about. So you get a really fun, he's discovering American history as you are. But he's way funnier than you, and makes the show very entertaining to listen to. But yeah, check out the Dollop. So moving on to another all things comedy. This time a documentary I talked about on Monday's episode about the Amazing Jonathan. Here's a little trailer for that documentary. Always amazing.
Crazy. It was this force of nature coming at you that was like this big steamroller. It kept attacking you.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
It's everything. Magic is my life.
When I started working with Jonathan, I would hear about Joel Osment.
I used to camp out in front of my hotel room. He called me up and said, you want to do this commercial? It pays $60,000. I'm like, maybe this isn't a creepy little kid.
Jonathan said to me, you want to move out to the States and be my road manager? And I, yes, I do.
He stuck with me. Probably saved my life through all that.
I was given a year and a half to live. I decided to go back out and do one last tour.
If he drops dead on stage, that's probably the way he'd want to go out.
Dear Jonathan, behind all the crazy, drug-taking, manic bravado, I see the kind, generous, caring person I know you to be.
Awesome documentary by comedian Steve Byrne. Go check it out. It's free on YouTube. Go check it out. And this last clip, or last Instagram post from Lyrics Born, a meme from Mexexorcist, whatever, however you pronounce that. When you're sitting down at a movie theater and someone needs to walk by, and it's a fat guy with his feet basically behind his head. I found that very funny because I go see movies a lot, and it's very annoying anytime somebody has to walk in front of you. Because a lot of the times they don't need to, and it's very uncomfortable. So that touched me deep down in my heart. But thank you all. Let's do some shout-outs for this episode of Swipe Up. Shout-out to World Star Hip Hop. Shout-out Dom Tomato. Shout-out All Things Comedy, Pseudo Submarine, Eric Griffin, Bobby Lee Live, GM of PS, Marcaratori, Dollop Podcast, All Things Comedy. Shout out the amazing Jonathan, Lyrics Born, and Mexikitch. Thank you all for watching this episode. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out daily. Subscribe on IGTV and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week in advance over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder. InspiredDisorder.com for all of my original artwork. Go buy some paintings now and save 10% when you use coupon code INSPIRED. At Ray Taylor for me on all social media. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!